Hey everybody, welcome back to Video Game Esoteric and our continuing series, The Translation Theater, where I take a look at some of my favorite translated games of all time, or some of the most important ones in my opinion. We have a relatively new one today, and that is Bulk Slash. This is both a subtitle effort as well as an English language dub of this awesome game from Taito that's always been locked behind a language barrier. Before we get too far involved though, do me a huge favor, go down below, hit like, subscribe, and that notification bell definitely helps us out. And if you feel so inclined and want to support the channel, I got a Patreon link down below as well. But the reason why this translation is so amazing, not only is it a very good translation and dubbing, but you will see right here that you get a navigator in Bulk Slash. And for the longest time, this game was extremely difficult to play if you didn't understand Japanese, because your navigator was giving you voice cues as to how to move around in each level. And you'll see there at the bottom right hand corner, there's a timer. Not understanding where to go was a death sentence in this game because you would just run out of time. So this is not only a subtitling effort from fans, they also have voice actors doing the lines being dubbed into English so you can understand what's going on in the story, and more importantly, your navigator can lead you to where you need to go. It takes the game from being marginally playable if you don't understand the Japanese spoken language to being 100% playable if you speak English, and that is absolutely spectacular because Bulk Slash is an incredible game that I've always wanted to get better at, but without understanding those navigation prompts from the navigators, it was almost impenetrable as a game. But you can tell right off the top, this is extremely impressive, especially for Sega Saturn. Your mech is a sprite, but pretty much everything else in the environment is fully 3D polygonally drawn, and it is running at damn near a 60 frame per second mark as far as my eyes can tell. This is the Saturn pushing around a ton of polygons at once and doing an extremely good job at it. I love that TV in the background is named Zony, not Sony, a little nod to the PlayStation 1 and Sony TVs there maybe. But this translation effort and the subtitles are spectacular. This may be the most impressive fan translation of a game since something like Mother 3 or Police Knots, games that I've either already featured or will feature soon on this series. I can't say enough good things about this project because it's bringing a really spectacular game to the Sega Saturn, because this game proves that the Saturn could do anything that the PlayStation 1 could do if in the right developer's hands. The draw distance of course has some pop in, but that's going to be expected on this generation of consoles. But what Bulk Slash has to offer is absolutely spectacular, and now it is fully playable by an English language audience. I almost did a video on this when it first came out, but I really wanted to save it for Translation Theater, not only to talk about the translation effort, but the game itself. And you can see here, you have two options of gameplay. You can completely run around on the ground, or you can fly through the environment. There's even a modification so you can use the twin sticks for the Saturn to play this game. I do have a pair. I did not use them for this capture, but I did test it out later on, and it is absolutely amazing. So this is a subtitle effort, it's a dubbing effort, and it's also a patch effort to get twin stick analog control into the game all at once. It's probably the most buttoned up thing I've ever seen. And what I really love about the game outside of the gameplay is these epic boss battles. These giant mechs just drop down from the sky, and it is now your task to blow them up. And you get arrows sometimes, but the arrows are not as effective as that speech. When your navigator says left, right, or behind you, that is what you want to listen to. And I tried to play this game multiple times before it was translated, and I failed every single time at succeeding at it. But with these new modifications to Bulk Slash, I can say I successfully beat the game with no issue whatsoever outside of dying to a few boss battles. And that is spectacular. This effort made a game that was near impossible to beat one of my favorite new Sega Saturn games to play. And outside of this translation and dubbing effort being awesome and the game being spectacular, Bulk Slash has one of my favorite Sega Saturn soundtracks of all time. So go ahead and listen for like 30-45 seconds, and I'll come back and sing the praises of this game and the translation effort in just a bit. But enjoy!
To the left. Straight ahead.
Bulk Slash just has an absolutely spectacular soundtrack and is definitely growing on me to become one of my favorite Saturn soundtracks of all time. That may just be because I've been playing the game a lot for this capture, or it may just be because it is that good. But you'll see here in the gameplay on stage 3, Bulk Slash mixes a lot of things up. We are on an escort mission trying to keep this ship safe as it leaves the atmosphere, and there's so many different things going on around you that you need to destroy to make sure that the ship's shield at the top of the screen does not go down to 0 and explodes before the boss comes out. And I love what Bulk Slash does with the structure of the game. Every mission feels slightly different. This third mission is much smaller, so it allows you to kind of go slower through the environment and really pick off those enemies. Some of the other stages are large open world environments where you're really flying up high into the air and doubling back and trying to find the targets to destroy. And now that we did allow that ship to be defended long enough to leave the atmosphere, the boss is going to come down. And I will say, I absolutely love the boss fights in this game, even if they are difficult and a little bit confusing sometimes, because they are so huge. You really need to use that flying mechanic to sweep around your enemies, because right now our opponent is behind us, but as they fly away really quickly, if you don't make that turn quick enough, you're not going to be able to correctly zoom in on that enemy and attack them with those homing missiles. One mechanic that's not my favorite, if I had to give the game a criticism, if you don't take a hit for a certain amount of time, you'll see these missiles come back. Those are homing missiles. If you take one bullet or one hit from your opponent, those homing missiles go away for a certain cooldown period of time. So it's as important to play super defensively in Bulk Slash as it is to play offensively, because if you are going in for a big attack, because those homing missiles take a lot of damage out of the enemy, and you whiff it, and or you get hit by a bullet, you basically have to fly away and reapproach that enemy to make sure that you're shooting before they are, or else things like this, dying, happen, and you'll have to replay the whole stage, which is not a complaint. I love playing this game so much, I would replay it infinitely if I had to. And I can't say enough good things about the visual style of this game. Not only is it pushing this many polygons on the Sega Saturn, a system not known for having that much power in 3D compared to the PlayStation 1, or at least theoretically, but the colors and everything that are making up the image on the screen are just perfect for what this game is. Taito always had a really good art team as well as an amazing soundtrack team, and their art style shows here. I love this neo-futuristic city with all these neon signs flashing around, how they hide these different targets in these large towers. You will see as you get close to things, it does get pixelated and some of that geometry does break up ever so slightly, but that was part and parcel of this console generation. 3D was not solidified as something that everyone knew how to work with. But I just can't get over how smooth this game runs. You would expect this thing to chug along at like 12 to 15 frames a second, but developers at Taito did an amazing job with the coding because this is a fluid game. When you're controlling your mech, everything feels great. It does take a few seconds to get used to the controls, especially if you're playing with the controller, but once you wrap your head around how to turn with the shoulder buttons, Bulk Slash starts feeling like second nature, swooping around the cityscapes, going between towers, and approaching your enemy in the best way possible, and then deciding when you want to land and use that ground-based mech combat just feels so fluid and so unique for this generation of consoles. I would say this is probably a 9.5 out of 10 game. The only thing that would make it a little bit better in my opinion is if it was slightly longer. It's over before you realize it, but that's really not a complaint because what is here is absolutely spectacular. And back to the translation and the dubbing effort. Fully in English with amazing voice actors. It doesn't just let you understand the story, it lets you play the game, because without those navigation prompts, getting around these cities and understanding where to go and how to attack your enemies and what you need to be doing next is basically an impossibility if you are not a native Japanese speaker. So this game just doesn't give us that extra story of a game we already love to play gameplay wise. This translation and dubbing gives us better gameplay, and that is rare in the translation and dubbing sphere. So that's why I give the translation and the dubbing effort an 11 out of 10. It is better than perfect. It allows you to play an amazing game as an English language speaker with no issues whatsoever. I particularly love this boss here too. It's half mech and half butterfly. Taito loved combining animals and robots together. If you take a look at any of their shmups, crabs and bosses, fish and bosses, they just love putting animals and mechs together, and in Bulk Slash it works perfectly. But if you've never heard of this game before, if you tried to play it and you couldn't understand it because it was all in Japanese, now's your chance. It's fully in English. Leave me a comment down below, tell me if you played the game or if you plan on playing it. I'll have videos throughout the week. Do me a huge favor, hit like, subscribe. I died. That's the end of the video. Bye bye.